So the sell-off is quite broad-based now.
Okay, let's just get Aditya Sood in, fund manager at InCred Asset Management. Aditya, good to have you back on the program. Thank you very much for your time. Everything has come off to varying degrees. Some more, some less. I guess one can only take comfort if it is less rather than more. Let's just talk about how your portfolio is kind of fared. I remember we were speaking about Tejas Networks, and you were very bullish on it. Stocks come off to about 860 odd levels now. Where is it trading at in terms of P multiples? Just give us some sense. And this is the thing, right? I was looking at, for example, Tejas, you do speak about, but I was looking at CG Power, for example, right? It's come off sharply. Market cap is about 1 lakh crores. It's about 80,000 crores. I was looking at conservative profit estimates for 26 at about 1,600 crores in profits. So it's still trading at about 65 times. I mean, in that vicinity. Is that acceptable? Yeah. What should be acceptable is also a question, because we've had almost a decade of high valuations. Go on, Aditya, and answer that in the context of Tejas. Go on.
Yeah. I would say that it really depends on the framework that you follow, whether it is acceptable or not. Generally, our framework has been more skewed towards value and growth at a reasonable price. In context of Tejas, the story was that, essentially nobody really believed that they can have, earnings profile of, 500, 600 crore of, profit is going to flow through. The problem, I think so, is not with the earnings in Tejas. Essentially it is trading at 25 times trailing multiple today. I think so it has got to do with visibility of the order backlog, essentially, because nobody believed that, this company was essentially acquired because of fiber to home potential. And nobody believed that they can implement a wireless solution for BSNL, and they have done it in record time. In fact, we would have initially envisaged that it would have taken them, FY26 second half to implement it. So they are ahead of the timelines in terms of that. I think so. The question that was asked on the call was that essentially that once you execute BSNL, whether there is going to be, any orders that, that is clearly a worry for the street. But a very, very simple way of thinking about this is that, if you look at the upgradation of 4G, 5G potential, it is going to be 4,000 to 6,000 crore as per us. If you look at the Railway Kavach program, it is going to be 1,500 crore opportunity. And if you look at, the fiber to home BharatNet, that is going to be a 4,000 crore opportunity. So even if we take the lower end of this range of, what Tejas is going to bag. Now, the good thing is that, they practically don't have any competition here for all these three projects. And they are also having proof of concept has been established for, they are working closely for the backhaul for Idea, Idea Vodafone essentially. And what we have also seen here is that, they are establishing proof of concept to go global. So I think so it is a question of capability. It is a question of, whether you can be patient with, stocks, whether you can hold them long enough over a 3, 5, 10-year period. As I've pointed out in the past, that Tejas is very, very high in terms of, technical capabilities. Yeah. Obviously, they have doubled the R&D spend, and they have clearly added 150 odd.
Aditya, what about... No, absolutely. No doubting capability. What about valuations now? I mean, if you can give us a sense with because, it's a... this is happening now.
Trailing, I would say that 25 times trailing is not really very, very cheap, but it is not expensive as well in this environment, because the earnings are surely going to get delivered.
So about, you're saying 650 crores profits trailing, yes. And about 15,000 crores market cap.
Yeah, 600, 650 crores. The only factor here now is that, significant part of the earnings is also going to be PLI, the benefit that they derive, and whether you treat it as other income or not is the only debatable factor here.
No, multiple in 20s is, I think, you'll have to really look hard to find multiples in 20s. which usually is much higher. So, so this is no point taken with the correction. There's a good view on Tejas, guys. Sorry.
Hi, Aditya, Rima here. Even Intellect Design Arena is a stock that you've liked in the past. I don't know if you still own it. But here, while the valuations are reasonable, the stock hasn't done anything over the last 3 years. In 3 years, the stock is only up about 13%. So what are you doing with such stocks?
Yeah, so I think so. You have to give companies time. We have to read through capability of the company. Essentially, our expectation is that, North America has been a very, very difficult market to break into. So if you look at, any product company which is coming out of India, whether they have done justice to, break into North America, I don't think so. You have a real champion here. But the markets that they operate in, be it, Middle East, be it India, be it, Southeast Asia, one of the key factors contributing to Intellect's success has been that their customers would be the top 3 banks in those geographies. So I think so. This is again an example of huge operating leverage which can play out. They have started to get some success, very initial success. For example, with the credit bureau in Canada, which they announced. I think so. This year is going to be very, very critical for Intellect success, because we expect that they would bag some customers in North America and get a proof of concept established, and then I think so the gates would open. So again, reasonably priced. We don't see a real risk of earnings getting cut here.
All right, hi Aditya. Good to hear your thoughts and on all these stocks as well. The other one that you all were in very, very early is Newland Pharma. The stock I think was 18,000 bucks. It's come down to 13,000 rupees. Obviously, I think you all got in much earlier as well. What's your view on the entire pharma pack, which has suddenly started getting very, very nervous? What Mr. Trump is going to do next with regard to funding? A lot of these pharma stocks have corrected. Your view on Newland as well as the pharma pack, what do you like?
So on a top-down basis, I think so. This is one sector wherein we have seen 7 quarters of double-digit earnings growth getting delivered. And I think so. If you have to rank the sectors by earnings growth, pharma would be just up there. I think so. Still, we are expecting from the entire pack, we are expecting a 19% growth to get contributed. Now, the question is that, what to own in the pharma pack. And we have been very, very skewed towards, this contract development and research CDMO as an opportunity. I think so. Again, there are very few companies wherein we have seen, top line leapfrogging and bottom line improving very, very sharply. Just to give you some perspective, 4 years back at the bottom of COVID, possibly, Newland used to do 100 crore PAT. They ended last year with a 300 crore PAT. Our expectation is that next 2 years, they'll double the PAT number, let's say 2.5 years broadly. Obviously, they have a very, very large opportunity in terms of this novel drug for schizophrenia, which is a Bristol-Myers Squibb drug known as Cobenfy. So I think so. This could be a $300-500 million opportunity in terms of top line with 70-80% gross margins over next 5 to 7 years. Now the good news is that Newland is working on novel therapies. Very few companies have been in a position to have this kind of a track record that they have, and I think so. They have 5 such molecules in the pipeline. So it is going to be purely dependent upon whether they are in a position to execute. Now, Newland also, in last 10 days announced a very large capex on 1,000 crore gross block. They are adding 300 crores. So that leads us to believe that obviously they can see the pipeline, and this is going to be a very interesting stock to own going forward. So on the CDMO space, in fact, we like this space a lot. The problem has been valuation in this space. So again, if I have to rank companies on capability, if I have to benchmark Newland's valuation to a Divi's or Syngene, I think so Newland is still the cheapest stock in this space with the highest return on capital employed profile and highest margins.
Okay, all right. No, absolutely. And, these are some of the stocks which Aditya has in his portfolio, and, interesting times here. Anything else, Aditya, which you're looking at closely, which has fallen because, stuff has come off sharply across the board. Things you don't already own, but it's on your radar?
Sure. So, our framework there has been that, we will look at the sector, when there is a price to value gap. Clearly, I think so the highest amount of pain, if you talk about, any sector today within financials, is in MFI space. We have held Credit Access Grameen in the past. We believe that it is the best managed MFI in this country. So we are looking at it, with a very, very close lens. We would like to believe that, this is a sector which is going to, because it has fallen so much, that it is creating, interesting opportunities. So we are looking at, companies which can manage the credit cycle well. There are only, a handful of names which have been in a position to report profit, wherein the sector has, suffered a lot. So that is one space that is looking very, very interesting to us. Obviously, financials post the OMO, RBI OMO, obviously, financials could rally, which was clearly, getting reflected in the Bank Nifty performance as well. We have recently added Axis Bank. We believe that, it is very reasonably priced. Even if you look at, Federal Bank, which has been a, 5-year-old stock for us as a holding, I think so the management is now focusing more towards granular deposits. Advances, I think so they are more focused towards the high yield sort of market, wherein we believe that, they are focusing on the profitable buckets. And obviously, they have been very, very prudent in terms of, provisioning as well. So that is something that we like. They are being conservative as far as provisioning. And obviously, the stock is reasonably, priced. It is trading at 1.2 times price to book.
Okay, so added Axis Bank recently. Federal Bank has been a long-term holding for you for more than 5 years. And you're watching MFI stocks, something like a Credit Access Grameen, which you've held in the past post the recent correction. Thank you very much, Aditya, for joining in. Get into a break. As always, on the other side, we'll get you a check on what dealing rooms